Duncan's Ritual and Monitor of Freemasonry. Chapter 1. Entered Apprentice, or First Degree. Part 1. Opening the Lodge. 7 Freemasons, 6 entered apprentices and 1 Master Mason, acting under a charter or dispensation from some Grand Lodge, is the requisite number to constitute a Lodge of Masons, and to initiate a candidate to the first degree of Masonry. They assemble in a room well guarded from all cowans and eavesdroppers, in the 2nd or 3rd story, as the case may be, of some building suitably prepared and furnished for lodge purposes, which is, by Masons, termed the ground floor of King Solomon's Temple. The officers take their seats. Lodge meetings are arranged as follows, viz. A regular is held but once a month, that is every month on, or preceding, the full of the moon in each month. Special meetings are held as often as the exigency of the case may seem to demand, if every night in the week, Sunday excepted. If Tuesday should be lodge night, by Masons it would be termed Tuesday evening on or before the full of the moon, a regular night. All business relative to Masonry is done at a regular, and in the 3rd, or Master Mason degree. None but Master Masons are allowed to be present at such meetings. Balloting for candidates is generally done on a regular, also receiving petitions, committee reports, etc., etc. A petition for the degrees of Masonry is generally received at a regular, though, as a common thing, Grand Lodges of each state make such arrangements as they may deem best for the regulation of their several subordinate lodges. At the time of receiving a petition for the degrees of Masonry, the Master appoints a committee of 3, whose duty it is to make inquiry after the character of the applicant, and report good or bad, as the case may be, at the next regular meeting, when it is acted upon by the lodge. Upon reception of the committee's report, a ballot is had. If no black balls appear, the candidate is declared duly elected. But if 1 black ball or more appear, he is declared rejected. No business is done in a lodge of entered apprentices, except to initiate a candidate to the first degree in Masonry, nor is any business done in a fellow crafts lodge, except to pass a fellow craft from the 1st to the 2nd degree. To explain more thoroughly, when a candidate is initiated to the 1st degree, he is styled as entered. When he has taken the 2nd degree, passed. And when he has taken the 3rd, raised to the sublime degree of a Master Mason. No one is allowed to be present, in any degree of Masonry, except he be one of that same degree or higher. The Master always wears his hat when presiding as such, but no other officer, in a Blue Lodge. A Blue Lodge is a lodge of Master Masons, where only 3 degrees are conferred, viz. Entered Apprentice, 1st. Fellow Craft, 2nd. Master Mason, 3rd. Country lodges are mostly all Blue Lodges. A lodge of fellow craft Masons consists of 5, viz. Worshipful Master, Senior and Junior Wardens, Senior and Junior Deacons. Yet 7 besides the tiller generally assist, and take their seats as in the entered apprentice's degree. The fellow craft lodge is styled by Masons the middle chamber of King Solomon's Temple. 3 Master Masons is the requisite number to constitute a Master's Lodge, which is called by Masons the Sanctum Sanctorum, or Holy of Holies of King Solomon's Temple. Although 3 are all that is required by Masonic law to open a 3rd degree lodge, there are generally 7 besides the tiller, as in the other degrees. All the lodges meet in one room, alike furnished, for the conferring of the different degrees. But they are Masonically styled by the craft as the ground floor, middle chamber, and sanctum sanctorum. A person being in the room, while open on the 1st degree, would not see any difference in the appearance of the room from a Master Mason's lodge. It is the duty of the tiller to inform all the brethren on what degree the lodge is at work, especially those that arrive too late, that is, after the lodge has been opened, so that none will be liable to give the wrong sign to the worshipful Master when he enters. If the lodge is opened on the 1st degree, there might he present those who had taken only 1 degree, and, if the brother arriving late should be ignorant of this fact, and make a 3rd degree sign, they would see it. Consequently, caution on this point should always be given to such brethren by the tiller, before entering the lodge. Usual way, brethren that arrive too late come up to the ante-room, which they find occupied by the tiller, sword in hand. After inquiring of the tiller on what degree the lodge is at work opened, they put on an apron, and request the tiller to let them in. The tiller steps to the door, gives 1 rap, bullet, that is if opened on the first degree. 2 raps, bullet, if second degree. 3 raps, bullet, if the third degree. Which being heard by the junior deacon, on the inside, he reports to the master the alarm, as follows, viz. Junior deacon. Worshipful master, there is an alarm at the inner door of our lodge. Worshipful master. Attend to the alarm, brother junior, and ascertain the cause. Junior deacon opens the door and inquires of the tiller the cause of the alarm. When the tiller will report the brethren's names, which we will suppose to be Jones, Brown, and Smith. Junior deacon. To the master, brothers Jones, Brown, and Smith are without, and wish admission. If they are known to the master, he will say, admit them. Deacon opens the door, and says, in an undertone of voice, come in. These brothers advance to the center of the lodge, at the altar make the due guard, and sign of the degree on which the lodge is opened, which is responded to by the master, and then take their seats among the brethren. No brother is allowed to take his seat until he has saluted the worshipful master on entering a lodge. And if one omits his duty in this respect, he is immediately reminded of it by either the master or some one of the brethren present. The tiller generally cautions the brethren, before entering the lodge, about giving the sign, before passing them through the door. The junior deacon the same, as soon as they are in. This officer's station is at the inner door, and it is his duty to attend to all alarms from the outside, to report the same to the master, and get his permission before admitting anyone. The author remembers seeing the due guard and signs of a master mason given, while yet an emptied apprentice mason. He was sitting one evening in the lodge, when a brother of the third degree came in, and very carelessly saluted the master with the master's due guard and sign, undoubtedly supposing the lodge open on that degree. A very common error among masons. In large cities there are often more than one lodge. Some cities have 10 or 20, and even more. In the cities of New York and Brooklyn there are 135 lodges, besides chapters, councils, commanderies, etc., etc. Consequently, there are lodge meetings of some sort every night in the week, excepting Sunday, and of course much visiting is going on between the different lodges. The visitors are not all known to the masters personally, but the brethren are, generally, acquainted with each other, and of course have often to be vouched for in some of the lodges, or pass an examination. And for the purpose of giving the reader an idea of the manner in which they are admitted, the author will suppose a case, in order to illustrate it. Jones, Smith, and Brown, belonging to Amity Lodge, number 323, in Broadway, New York, wish to visit Hiram Lodge, number 449, of 25th Street, and for that purpose go on lodge night to the hall of Hiram Lodge, number 449, and ask the tiller for admission. The tiller, perhaps, will say, brothers, are you acquainted with our master, or any of the brethren in the lodge? Smith, Jones, and Brown will say, perhaps, yes, or, we can't tell, but pass our names in, and if there are any acquainted with us, they will vouch for our Masonic standing. The tiller does so, in the manner already described, and, if they are vouched for by either master or any brother, they are admitted, the tiller telling them on what degree the lodge is opened, besides furnishing them with aprons. On the evening of a lodge meeting, brethren generally get together at an early hour at the lodge room, which has been opened and cleaned out by the tiller. On arrival of the master, and the hour of meeting, the master repairs to his seat in the east, puts on his hat, sash, yoke, and apron, with gavel in hand, and says, brethren will he properly clothed and in order. Officers repair to their stations for the purpose of opening. At this announcement the brethren put on their aprons, and seat themselves around the lodge room, while the officers invest themselves with their yokes and aprons, and take their stations, viz. Senior warden in the west, junior warden in the south, senior deacon in front of the worshipful master in the east, and a little to his right hand, with a long rod in hand. Junior deacon at the right hand of the senior warden in the west, guarding the inner door of the lodge, with rod in hand. Secretary at the left of the worshipful master, and treasurer at the right. And, generally, 2 stewards on the right and left of the junior warden in the south, with rods in hand. After all are thus seated, the worshipful master says, is the tiller present? If so, let him approach the east. At this command, the tiller, who is all this time near the outer door of the lodge, approaches the worshipful master's seat in the east, with yoke and apron on. Worshipful master. Brother Tiller, your place in the lodge? Tiller. Without the inner door. Worshipful master. Your duty there? Tiller. To keep off all cowards and eavesdroppers, and not to pass or repass any but such as are duly qualified and have the worshipful master's permission. Worshipful master. You will receive the implement of your office, handing him the sword. Repair to your post, and be in the active discharge of your duty. The tiller retires to the inside of the outer door of the ante-room, and all lodge doors are closed after him. Worshipful master. Gives one rap with his gavel. Junior deacon rises up. Brother junior deacon, the first and constant care of masons when convened? Junior deacon. To see that the lodge is duly dialed. Worshipful master. You will attend to that part of your duty, and inform the tiller that we are about to open a lodge of entered apprentice masons, fellow crafts, or master masons, as the case may be, and direct him to dial accordingly. The deacon opens the door, and says to the tiller, Brother Tiller, it is the orders of the worshipful master that you dial this lodge as an entered apprentice, fellow crafts, or master mason, as the case may be. Then closes the door, gives one rap, 2, if a fellow crafts, or 3, if a master's lodge, which is responded to by the tiller. Junior deacon. Worshipful master, the lodge is dialed. Worshipful master. How dialed? Junior deacon. By a brother of this degree, without the inner door, invested with the proper implement of his office, the sword. Worshipful master. His duty there? Junior deacon. To keep off all cowards and eavesdroppers. Suffer none to pass or repass, except such as are duly qualified, and have the worshipful master's permission. Sits down. Worshipful master. One rap, warden rises to his feet. Brother senior warden, are you sure that all present are entered apprentice masons, fellow crafts, or master masons? As the case may be. Senior warden. I am sure, worshipful master, that all present are entered apprentice masons, or as the case may be. Worshipful master. Are you an entered apprentice mason? Senior warden. I'm so taken and accepted among all brothers and fellows. Worshipful master. Where were you first prepared to be made an entered apprentice mason? Senior warden. In my heart. Worshipful master. Where secondly? Senior warden. In a room adjacent to a legally constituted lodge of such, duly assembled in a place representing the ground floor of King Solomon's temple. Worshipful master. What makes you an entered apprentice mason? Senior warden. My obligation. Worshipful master. How many constitute a lodge of entered apprentice masons? Senior warden. 7 or more, consisting of the worshipful master, senior and junior wardens, senior and junior deacons, secretary, and treasurer. Worshipful master. The junior deacon's place? Senior warden. At the right hand of the senior warden in the west. Worshipful master. 2 raps with his gavel, when all the officers of the lodge rise to their feet. Your duty there, brother junior deacon? Junior deacon. Makes the sign of an entered apprentice mason. To carry orders from the senior warden in the west to the junior warden in the south, and elsewhere around the lodge, as he may direct, and see that the lodge is dialed. Worshipful master. The senior deacon's place in the lodge? Junior deacon. At the right hand of the worshipful master in the east. Worshipful master. Your duty there, brother senior? Senior deacon. To carry orders from the worshipful master in the east to the senior warden in the west, and elsewhere around the lodge, as he may direct. To introduce and clothe all visiting brethren. To receive and conduct candidates. Worshipful master. The secretary's place in the lodge? Senior deacon. At the left hand of the worshipful master in the east. Worshipful master. Your duty, brother secretary? Secretary. To observe the worshipful master's will and pleasure, record the proceedings of the lodge, transmit a copy of the same to the Grand Lodge, if required, receive all monies paid into the lodge by the hands of the brethren, pass the same over to the treasurer, and take his receipt for the same. Worshipful master. The treasurer's place in the lodge? Secretary. At the right hand of the worshipful master in the east. Worshipful Master. Your duty there, Brother Treasurer? Treasurer. To receive all monies paid into the lodge from the hands of the Secretary, keep a regular and just account of the same, and pay it out by the order of the Worshipful Master and the consent of the lodge. Worshipful Master. The Junior Warden's station in the lodge? Treasurer. In the South, Worshipful. Worshipful Master. Your duty there, Brother Junior Warden? Junior Warden. As the sun in the south, at high meridian, is the beauty and glory of the day, so stands the Junior Warden in the south, the better to observe the time, call the craft from labor to refreshment, superintend them during the hours thereof, and see that the means of refreshment be not converted into intemperance or excess, and call them on to labor again, that they may have pleasure and profit thereby. Worshipful Master. The Senior Warden's station in the lodge? Junior Warden. In the West, Worshipful. Worshipful Master. Why in the West, Brother Senior, and your duty there? Senior Warden. To assist the Worshipful Master in opening and closing his lodge, pay the craft their wages, if any be due, and see that none go away dissatisfied, if in my power to prevent, harmony being the strength of all institutions, more especially of this of ours. Worshipful Master. The Worshipful Master's station in the lodge? Senior Warden. In the East, Worshipful. Worshipful Master. Why in the East, and his duty there? Senior Warden. As the sun rises in the East, to open and govern the day, so rises the Worshipful Master in the East. Here he gives 3 raps with his gavel, when all the brethren of the lodge rise, and himself, to open and govern his lodge, set the craft to work, and give them proper instructions. Worshipful Master. Brother Senior Warden, it is my orders that this lodge be opened on the 1st degree of Masonry, or 2nd, or 3rd degree, as the case may be, for the dispatch of business, during which time, all private committees, and other improper, unmasonic conduct, tending to destroy the peace of the same while engaged in the lawful pursuits of Masonry, are strictly forbidden, under no less penalty than a majority of the brethren present, acting under the by-laws of this lodge, may see fit to inflict. This you will communicate to the Junior Warden in the South, and he to the brethren around the lodge, that they, having due and timely notice, may govern themselves accordingly. Senior Warden. Turning to the Junior Warden in the South. Brother Junior Warden, you have heard the orders of the Worshipful Master, as communicated to me from the Worshipful Master in the East. You will take notice, and govern yourself accordingly. Junior Warden. To the lodge. Brethren, you have heard the orders of the Worshipful Master, as communicated to me through the Senior Warden in the West. You will please take notice, and govern yourselves accordingly. Worshipful Master. Brethren, together on the signs. The signs of the 3 degrees are given, if opening on the 3rd degree. But if only on the 1st degree, entered apprentice, the Master would say, together on the sign, and not signs. The Master always leads off in giving the sign or signs. The Master first makes the due guard of the 1st degree, representing the position of the hands when taking the oath of an emptied apprentice Mason, which is called the due guard of an emptied apprentice, viz. My left hand supporting the Bible, and my right hand resting thereon. After which the Master makes the sign of an emptied apprentice Mason, which alludes to the penalty of the emptied apprentice's obligation, which is imitated by all the brethren present. The Master then makes the due guard of a fellow craft, which alludes to the position of the hands when taking the oath of a fellow craft Mason. After which he gives the signs of a fellow craft, which alludes to the penalty of the fellow craft obligation. Next is the due guard of a Master Mason, which alludes to the position of the hands when taking the oath of a Master Mason, both hands resting on the Holy Bible, square, and compasses. And then the sign of a Master Mason, which alludes to the penalty of the obligation of the Master Mason. The last sign given is the grand hailing signs of distress. The words accompanying this sign in the night, or dark, when the sign cannot be seen, are, viz. Quotes, O Lord my God. Is there no help for the widow's son? This sign is given by the Master, at the grave of our Grand Master Hiram Abith. Master gives 1 rap with his gavel. Senior Warden, gives 1. Junior Warden, gives 1. Master 1 more the 2nd time, which is responded to by the wardens a 2nd time, in the West and South, when the Master makes the 3rd gavel sound, which is responded to by the wardens. These 3 raps are made when opening the lodge on the 3rd degree. If opening on the 2nd, 2 raps only are used. 1st degree, 1 rap each, first given by the master, then senior warden, lastly junior warden. After which the master takes off his hat, and repeats the following passage of scripture: Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head, that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion, for there the Lord commanded the blessing, even life forevermore. Amen. Responded to by all the brethren present. Amen. So mote it be. Worshipful Master. I now declare this lodge opened on the 1st, or, as the case may be, degree of Masonry. Brother Junior Deacon, you will inform the tiller. Deacon opens the lodge door, and delivers his message to the tiller. Worshipful Master. Brother Senior Deacon, you will attend at the altar. Here the Senior Deacon steps to the altar, places the square above the compasses, if opened on the 1st degree, viz. Worshipful Master. Gives 1 sound of the gavel. All are seated and ready for business. If the lodge is opened on the 3rd degree, and at a regular meeting of the lodge, the following would be the order of business. But as the reader may be a little anxious, besides curious, about the way and manner of raising the lodge from the 1st to the 3rd degree, the author will suppose the lodge open on the 1st degree, and, it being a regular lodge night, and business to transact, the lodge must be raised to the 3rd or master's degree, as no business except that of initiation can be done on the 1st degree. The following manner is generally adopted among Masons at the present day, though there are 2 or 3 ways. Worshipful Master. Gives 1 rap with his gavel. Brother Senior Warden, are you sure that all present are Master Masons? Or fellow crafts, as the case may be? Senior Warden. I am not sure that all present are Master Masons, but will ascertain through my proper officers, and report. Senior Warden. Deacons will approach the west. Deacons, both junior and senior, repair to the warden's station in the west. First the senior deacon whispers the password of the Master Mason in the ear of the junior deacon, Turbalcan, and the senior deacon whispers the same in the senior warden's ear, when one deacon passes up one side of the lodge, and the other side, and, as they go, stop at each brother present for the password, which each brother rises up and whispers in the ear of the deacon, Turbalcan. If there are any present that cannot give it, the deacons pass them by, especially if they are lower degree members, entered apprentices or fellow crafts, and after the deacons have gone through the entire lodge, they meet before the worshipful master in the east. The senior deacon gets the pass again from the junior deacon, and passes it up to the master, and then they return to the senior warden in the west, and pass the same up to him in the same way, and take their seats again. The warden then rises and says, all present are not Master Masons, worshipful Master. All below the degree of Master Mason will please retire while we raise the lodge. The junior deacon says to those below Master Mason, brothers, please retire, and he sees that they do so. After they are out, and the door is closed by the junior deacon, the senior warden says, all present are Master Masons, worshipful, and makes the sign of a Master Mason. Worshipful Master. If you are satisfied that all present are Master Masons, you will have them come to order as such, reserving yourself for the last. Senior Warden. Gives 3 raps with his gavel, when all in the lodge rise to their feet. Brethren, you will come to order as Master Masons. Brethren all place their hands in the form of a due regard of a Master Mason. Senior Warden. In order, worshipful Master. Together on the sign, brethren, and makes the sign of a Master Mason, which is imitated by the officers and brethren, and lastly the senior warden. The master gives 1 rap, senior warden 1, junior warden 1, and then the master again 1 rap, followed up by the wardens, until they have rapped 3 times each. Worshipful Master. I now declare this lodge open on the 3rd degree of Masonry. Brother Junior Deacon, inform the tiller. Brother Senior Deacon attend to the altar. Raps once, and the officers and brethren take their seats. Order of business as follows, viz. Worshipful Master. Brother Secretary, you will please read the minutes of our last regular communication. The Secretary reads as follows, viz. Masonic Hall, New York, December the 8th, AL 5860. A regular communication of St. John's Lodge, number 222, of Free and Accepted Masons, was holden at New York, Wednesday, the 10th of November, AL 5860. Present: Brother B, Worshipful Master; BC, Senior Warden; CD, Junior Warden; D, Treasurer; EF, Secretary; FG, Senior Deacon; GH, Junior Deacon; HI, Stewards; IJ, Stewards; KL, Tiller. Members: Brother Luke Cousins, John Hart, Peter Lewis, George Fox, Robert Onion, Frank Lucky, Samuel Slick, Solomon Wise, Henry Wisdom, Truman Swift. Visiting Brothers: Brother James B. Young, of Union Lodge, number 16, Broadway, New York; Brother George J. Jones, Rochester Lodge, number 28, Rochester, New York; Brother Benjamin Scribble, of Hiram Lodge, number 37, New Orleans, Louisiana; Brother Stephen Swift, of Cleveland Lodge, number 99, Cleveland, Ohio; Brother Robert Morris, of Lexington Lodge, number 7, Lexington, Kentucky. Lodge was opened in due form on the 3rd degree of Masonry. The minutes of the last communication of St. John's Lodge were read and confirmed. The committee on the petition of John B. Kirby, a candidate for initiation, reported favorably, whereupon he was balloted for, and duly elected. The committee on the application of D.C. Wolivert, a candidate for initiation, reported favorably, whereupon he was balloted for, and the box appearing foul, he was declared rejected. The committee on the application of William S. Anderson, a candidate for initiation, having reported unfavorably, he was declared rejected, without a ballot. A petition for initiation from Robert Chase, of Jersey City, accompanied by the usual fee of $10, and recommended by Brothers Hart, Lewis, and Onion, was referred to a committee of investigation, consisting of Brothers Slick, Wise, and Swift. Brother Samuel Brevoort, an entered apprentice, having applied for advancement, was duly elected to the 2nd degree, and Brother Thomas Jinson, a fellow craft, was, on his application for advancement, duly elected to the 3rd degree in Masonry. Lodge of Master Masons was then closed, and a Lodge of entered apprentices opened in due form. Mr. Charles Frond, a candidate for initiation, being in waiting, was duly prepared, brought forward, and initiated as an entered apprentice Mason in due and ancient form, he paying the further sum of $5. Lodge of entered apprentices closed, and a Lodge of fellow crafts opened in due form. Brother Stephen Curry, an entered apprentice, being in waiting, was duly prepared, brought forward, and passed to the degree of a fellow craft, he paying the further sum of $5. Lodge of fellow crafts closed, and a Lodge of Master Masons opened in due form. Brother John Smith, a fellow craft, being in waiting, was duly prepared, brought forward, and raised to the sublime degree of a Master Mason, he paying the further sum of $5. Amount received this evening, as follows: petition of Robert Chase $10, fellow craft Charles Frond $5, fellow craft Stephen Curry $5, Master Mason John Smith $5, total $25, all of which was paid over to the treasurer. There being no further business, the lodge was closed in due form and harmony. Samuel Slick, Secretary. Approved, Solomon Authors, Worshipful Master. Such is the form which has been adopted as the most convenient mode of recording the transactions of a lodge at the present day. The minutes of a lodge should be read at the close of each meeting, that the brethren may suggest any necessary alterations or additions, and then at the beginning of the next regular meeting, that they may be confirmed. Worshipful Master. Brother Senior Warden, have you any alterations to propose? Senior Warden. I have none, Worshipful. Worshipful Master. Have you any, Brother Junior Warden? Junior Warden. None, Worshipful. Worshipful Master. Has any brother around the lodge any alterations to propose? None offering, Worshipful Master. Then, brethren, the motion is on the confirmation of the minutes of our last communication. or that are in favor of their confirmation will make it known by the usual sign of a Mason. Raise the right hand. Those opposed, by the same sign, which is called the usual sign of a Mason. The question of confirmation is simply a question whether the secretary has faithfully and correctly recorded the transactions of the lodge. If it can be satisfactorily shown by any brother that there are any omissions or misentries, this is the time to correct them.